We ended up losing this version of the neighbor completely. It is no secret that during the early alpha builds, the neighbor was an entirely different character, and his story was completely different too. Fans built countless creepy and bizarre theories trying to guess what the final plot would be, but nobody could have predicted the truth because the actual game turned out nothing like what everyone expected. But what if I told you that the script was rewritten multiple times, and Hello Neighbor actually has several completely cancelled storylines? In one version, the neighbor was a spy, in another, he was the literal devil, and in a third version, he was actually our father, and I am not even joking right now. Honestly, in some of these scripts, there was not even a basement, which, if you think about it, is our entire main objective in the full game. Instead of a basement, there was something else entirely, something you would never even guess. These early narrative drafts of the neighbor's history, which were written during development and then just thrown away and cancelled for various reasons, are exactly what we are going to break down in today's video. And of course, we will look back at how the final game actually turned out. This video is happening purely because of you guys, since the last video about the neighbor easily hit our target of 20,000 likes. So let us get straight into it. As always, it is your host, Grimm. Sit back, get comfortable, grab your snacks, and let us dive in. The very first storyline, or rather the core concept for it, was cooked up by Nikita Kolesnikov, the creator of Hello Neighbor, all the way back in 2014. This was long before work even started on the very first prototype of the neighbor, and he was heavily inspired by the television series Orphan Black. The creator described the idea as a story about clones, where each clone was assigned a spy who monitored how they lived and what they did. The catch was that the spy could be absolutely anyone, your co-worker or even your own mother. In the show, one of the clone girls ends up leaving her neighbor to die in a moment of crisis because she was completely convinced that the neighbor was the spy. But in the end, it turned out that the spy was actually her husband. Inspired by Orphan Black, the creator got the idea to build a game where your entire goal is to find out if your neighbor is spying on you. It was supposed to feature a highly advanced, constantly learning artificial intelligence that we had to monitor while breaking into his house and utilizing any environmental objects around us. The main hook was that the game gave you absolutely no limits. You just had to expose the mustachioed neighbor, and how exactly you did, that was completely up to you. And basically, it was a sandbox where you could do whatever you wanted. But even in the earliest builds of Hello Neighbor, this spy concept unfortunately never made the cut. In the final game, it actually turned out completely backward. We are usually the ones spying on the neighbor instead of him spying on us like originally planned. Now just imagine if the neighbor's plot actually reached us with that original concept where he was spying on our everyday life, it would probably lose his mind. Out of all those initial concepts, developers decided to keep only the sandbox freedom and the advanced artificial intelligence. But even those mechanics made it to release in a very different state than what was originally intended, and I think you all know exactly what I mean by that. After the spy concept was thrown out, what is arguably the creepiest and most mysterious storyline of the neighbor was born, heavily based on the classic tragic play Faust, and things were supposed to get seriously dark. For years, nobody could fully crack this lore, but not too long ago, the creator briefly shared this history with a fan. In that first major script, the neighbor was the literal devil masquerading as a human being. He had constructed an entire fake reality for the protagonist, who had actually gotten into a terrible car crash on his way to his new house and was now clinging to life in a coma. The devil created this illusion to steal the protagonist's soul through trickery, because a massive spiritual war was happening between God and the devil for human souls. Honestly, it sounds incredibly deep and a bit confusing, but we do not know anything else about this specific script, and frankly, that is already more than enough to mess with your head. The neighbor lived with this demonic backstory from the very first teaser trailers, which have now been deleted, all the way up to the second alpha build. Many veteran players might remember that specific sequence where the neighbor buries the protagonist alive. Think about the bizarre paintings inside the neighbor's house, paired with the Book of Faust, the fallen angel depicted on the road sign, or the number 666 hidden on the soles of the neighbor's shoes. Even his muffled, corrupted voice lines where he explicitly mentions God directly connected to this dark script. I think it would have been an absolutely incredible concept. Imagine if he was walking around cursing and acting completely unhinged right now. The entire legacy of the game would be totally different. It would be played by hardcore horror fans. Even looking back at those early teasers, the developers were heavily hinting at that fatal car crash and its massive significance to the lore. It is wild to think what the final game would have looked like with this storyline, but we will never truly know. At one point, this entire demonic plot and all its ideas had to be completely abandoned because of the younger target audience and the decisions made by the publisher, tinyBuild. After that, work began on a completely different version of The Neighbor. A brand new script was written, but even that one did not make it to the final cut and was cancelled too. Only this time, it happened literally right before the full game launched, for reasons that remain completely unexplained. That is exactly why in the retail release you can find so many echoes of this specific storyline almost everywhere, in the paintings, the dream sequences, the puzzles, and the cutscenes. All of it can be tied directly to this scrapped plot. In this version of the story, the neighbor was actually the protagonist's father, who had treated him with extreme cruelty during his childhood. Because of this, the son developed severe, lifelong psychological trauma and had to overcome it throughout the entire progression of the game. I can already picture everyone's reaction if the launch version explicitly revealed that the neighbor was our dad. It would have been a massive plot twist. Let's look a bit closer at the details. In the original opening cutscene, we were supposed to be moving directly into the house of the neighbor, our late father, who was already dead, rather than just moving into a random house across the street like in the final release. Upon entering, the protagonist would open the basement door and everything would cut to black. The original ending, which was actually discovered in the source files of the very last pre-release build, was a direct continuation of that opening scene. It showed us that there was essentially nothing inside that mysterious basement, and there never had been. It was not even a basement at all, just a normal storage closet where the protagonist finds nothing but his old belongings and a family photograph of himself standing next to his father. We look at it all, step outside, and walk down the road straight toward the cemetery to visit our deceased parents. The end. This story was entirely built around generational trauma and the cycle of bad parenting that the neighbor had initially received from his own father. As an adult, because of that deeply rooted trauma, he becomes an equally cruel parent to his own son, the protagonist, passing the exact same trauma down the line. Along with the cut ending, files also revealed an early version of the final shadow boss fight, which remained in the full game but was heavily altered. While in the release version, we protect our younger self from the giant shadow to overcome our fear. Originally, we were supposed to protect a young version of the neighbor himself. He would start by playing with toy cars and accidentally breaking a vase, right before encountering that sinister shadow silhouette in the window, which directly personified strict parenting, the fear of punishment and abuse. After the boss fight, just like in the final game, we entered a white void and walked toward a door where the neighbor was originally supposed to enter, saying a final goodbye to his son, meaning us, before walking away forever. The meaning of that early shadow battle was about accepting your father and understanding the root causes behind all his cruel actions toward you, realizing it all stemmed from his own unresolved childhood trauma. The items found in the closet trigger these memories in the protagonist, helping him reevaluate everything and conquer his ultimate fear alongside his childhood scars. We could have gotten a completely different, less spooky, but incredibly deep and psychological story, but unfortunately we lost that one too. In the final release, the neighbor turned out to be neither a spy, nor the devil, nor our father. He was simply an ordinary, loving family man who suddenly lost absolutely everything. He buried his wife, buried his daughter in the backyard, and locked his remaining son in his own basement, completely losing his mind to grief and surrendering to total fear. I definitely cannot call the final story bad, just like any of the other scrapped plots in this video. They are all fascinating, mysterious, and each has its own unique charm. It would have been amazing to experience the game with each of these storylines. Personally, I think I would have loved to see Hello Neighbor with the demonic plotline where things got completely out of hand. Make sure to let me know in the comments below which version of The Neighbor you like the most and why. I am really curious to see what you think. Don't forget to smash the subscribe button and turn on notifications so you never miss another deep dive. This has been Grimm, thanks for watching, and I will see you in the next nightmare.